Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB, Macon, and WDDO 980 AM, Perry, Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett, Westbrook, and Mr. DUMAS.
And good evening and welcome to another segment of the NAACP Truth Show. I'm Willie Dumas, your host. Certainly happy you could join us today. Hope you had a great 4th of July celebration. Hope you took time with family and friends to enjoy and to celebrate with your loved ones. I had a great break. We were off because of the holiday, and we're certainly back with the community today, and we've got some interesting things to talk about. A lot of things have been happening, of course, not just here in the local community, but all across this country. Gun violence has been the major topic of discussion everywhere. All types of shootings across the United States, as well as right here in Middle Georgia. And so we want to touch bases on some of those issues that we're facing right here in the Macon, Middle Georgia area. We know that talk is cheap. And a lot of times, you know, we talk and we talk and we talk, and we never see any real true action take place, any true change that takes place. And it seems that people sometimes take a deaf ear to the things that are happening in our community. But we would like to think that we care enough about each other and the things that affect us here in this community that people would stand up and say something or do something that will make a difference. And just this week, there's such a group that has gotten together, a group of pastors, local pastors, as well as community leaders. Mr. Herbert Denard has spearheaded a group that will be meeting here in the East Macon area. They're holding a town hall type meeting with various pastors and other community leaders, and they'll be addressing these major shooting concerns that we have here locally. Just want to read a little of that. It says it's 6 East Macon churches that have partnered together and spearheaded by Mr. Herbert Denard. And what they're doing, they're trying to change the mindset. And I think he started a group called Changing Mindsets. Someone else that's also involved in that is our very own Bib Corner, Leon Jones. The Bib DA will be involved as well as the Sheriff's Office. And this particular meeting will be held July 16th, 2022 at the New Pleasant Grove Baptist Church, located at 795 Maynard Street here in Macon. And so if you can attend this very important gathering, just a wealth of information and suggestions as to how to combat or how to stop all of these killings that we're facing in our community. If we don't do something, no one else is going to do it. We live in these communities, you know, we thrive in these communities. Your families shop in areas where this violence sometimes takes place. And so we've got to get a hold onto how to keep this violence down. This particular group, they're having their kickoff event in East Macon. This town hall meeting, of course, will have a program of classes that will give young people the tools needed to make making better decisions when they have disagreements. Many times now, the first thing somebody grabs when they have a disagreement with someone is a gun. And back in the day, of course, we took care of things a little differently. We could agree to disagree, and many times we would argue and maybe do a fist fight, but we didn't take each other's life. And so there are other approaches that our young folk need to know as it relates to violence. In this particular forum that they're having, they're going to show them how to deal with some of those things. It says that we're doing some things different that we believe will make significant and lasting change. And this was a quote from Mr. Herbert Denard. The group is also excited about their upcoming plans, and they're going to be addressing a lot of these major issues. And some of the pastors that are involved is Pastor Richard Robinson of the New Pleasant Grove Baptist Church. He says that he's honored that his church member, Deacon Denard, has asked him to host this kickoff. And the Pleasant Grove also is joining with the Union Baptist family, my pastor, Reverend David Stanley, along with also Great Elizabeth Baptist Church, where Pastor Derek Dumas is the pastor there. Also, St. Paul AME Church, the Reverend Dr. Kevin Moore, along with also St. Peter Baptist Church, Pastor Willie Finney Sr., and also the Bread of Life Ministry, Elder Alfonso Alston. These are groups of clergy who are coming together to try to set the tone and ask some questions, give some suggestions as to what can be done to curtail much of this violence we're seeing right here in Macon. It says the event will be held from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Saturday, July 16th, at the Pleasant Grove Baptist Church. And once again, it's located at 795 Maynard Street in Macon. And Bibb County Coroner Leon Jones will share statistics on the shooting death rates, followed by the pastor's panel, where they will have a question and answer session discussion. It says that we will hear a testimony given by a mother who lost her teenage son to a shooting death last year. You know, when you're dealing with these parents who have lost their loved ones to violence, you can feel the hurt, the agony, and the concern that they have from losing their loved one to gun violence. And this has beginning to plague our community quite a bit. I mean, if you look across the country, we've also seen these mass shootings that have been taking place. And so if you can come out and witness much of this information, I think it'll be helpful to all that attend. You know, anyone who attends, I'm sure you'll get something you can take away from this. And basically, we need our young folk to hear these messages. You know, when you're talking about adults, many times adults can resolve their issues a lot better than what we're seeing as far as these teens and the confrontations that they incur with each other. It says in this Q&A discussion they'll have with 6 church leaders and attendees, it says we will hear a testimony given by a mother who lost her teen, a program of classes that will be implemented throughout Macon will be unveiled. And so this is a program they're looking to roll out all across Macon, and hopefully it will have some effect to curtail. I think anything that someone tries to use to make change should be sufficient, because it's insanity when you do the same thing expecting a different result. And so at least they're trying some new ideas and some new programs. And so we hope that you'll take the time out to go and to come out on July 16th at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at New Pleasant Grove, and to see what they're actually offering. It says also the first 100 attendees will receive a free lunch and free school supplies for their children, but they must be present to receive the free school supplies. This event will be a dynamic discussion of the issues of crime and shooting deaths in our community, and possible solutions for equipping our youth with the tools they need to avoid risky behavior and to make safe decisions as they navigate through adulthood. He also says he believes this event will be a blessing to our community and very helpful in trying to slow down much of the unnecessary killings that have been plaguing our city. This is a quote from Reverend David Stanley. It says, all we can do is try. We cannot give up on our young men and women. And it says, I salute everyone who is trying to have an impact on this serious problem. And this is a problem, not just for East Macon residents, but for residents all across Macon. And so I do hope that we won't look at this as just a East Macon event, but an event that all across Macon can come and participate and take the information to their community, their part of town, and to try to implement and get some resolve to all these shootings. Um, we know that gun violence has really plagued the nation. There have been some legislation that has taken place. It took over 2 decades to even get some type of legislation such as which has been implemented as it relates to purchasing weapons. These young folks are getting these weapons at an early age. They're a lot of times not really even trained on how to use these weapons, and they just go out and just take people's lives. We do know about the incident that took place at a parade, where just innocent bystanders were just gunned down by this individual. Just needless lives are just lost needlessly because of hate and because of ignorance and because of fear. That people will take other people's lives, and in order for us all to strive and to live together, we've got to get these types of things under control. And so if we have the power to make some changes as it relates to going out to the polls, voting for those who have our best interest at heart. And many times we haven't really done a great job of that. Many of us have not turned out to vote, and to vote for individuals who support those things that are important to us. Later on the show, President Gwen Westbrooks is going to join us, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the concerns with the jail system here in Bibb County. There have been numerous complaints. We've even heard the fact that the jail needed certain renovations and these types of things, and so a lot of times these things become a major problem in the community, and where it affects the inmates and also the family of inmates who actually have to visit the facility. And so we want to address some of those and kind of look at some of the things that are going on, some of the concerns that individuals have concerning our jails here in Bibb County. If you want to chime in on this discussion, of course, you can give us a call here at the radio station, and that number to call is 478 250 1444. Once again, that number is 478 250 1444. And we'd love to hear from you. If you have a loved one who has been incarcerated, or you know someone who has been affected by the jail system here in Bibb County, and see that there are certain changes that need to take place or have concerns, we'd love to hear that from you. And so don't hesitate to give us a call on that. Once again, as it relates to Bibb County, there have been a number of shootings here in Bibb County. A lot of those shootings have resulted from individuals who have been incarcerated, been in jail, and upon their release, they have either been gunned down, or in some cases, we've seen where those individuals have gunned others down. And so we've just have had a gamut of gun violence in our community, and that should be our top priority here in Bibb County right now, is to get this gun situation under control, because there are just too many guns that are out there. We even had some concerns we talked about some weeks ago with our churches. I think many of our churches in our communities now will have to actually up their security measures within their churches simply because of the ongoing violence and threats from individuals who take things in their own matters in their own hands and through gun violence. We've seen that play out so many times. We've seen it play out in the Carolinas, where this church um, had someone to come in and just gun those individuals down during a Bible study session. And then even recently, there were some concerns in the Middle Georgia area where someone was possibly scoping out a particular church to maybe see the vulnerabilities it may have to try to come in and possibly do harm to some of those parishioners. And so there are a number of measures that churches now can take, and some of those measures, that we've seen at major sporting events and those type of venues will now probably be standard within our churches as well as our schools, because they have become targets, if you would, for individuals that would want to bring harm. I see President Westbrooks is joining us, and
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
we'd like for you to just chime in a little bit. Of course, we've been discussing all this shooting that's been taking place across Macon as well as across the country. Just a lot of violence, gun violence going on these days.
Yes, it has. We've been, I guess, because we've been dealing with housing, in the process of us handling complaints for housing issues. Um, it's just that, and I've come across a lot of shooting, and a lot, the shooting is everywhere, but I've been experiencing a lot of shooting in housing authorities' properties.
Wow.
And so we have to, been trying to get a handle on that. People are just, don't feel safe. You don't hear about it on the news, that the shooting is going on in these and properties. We're looking at Green Meadows, the Tyndall Fields. We've had a lot of shooting out there. Bartlett Crossing had a lot of shooting there. But we like I said, with us dealing with the housing issue, with rental issues, we're finding out that, I was out, canvassing in Bartlett Crossing, where, people cars and taking pictures of people's housings, bullet holes in people's houses. People are, expressing that they are afraid they sleep in the daytime because they're scared to go to sleep at night. But they're shooting in the daytime also now. Here last month, I think it was May, they drove by like early in the morning when kids were getting ready to go to school, and they did a drive-by.
Wow.
So, it's, people are just afraid, and it's, and I've spoken to housing authority about cameras on these properties, and, and they only have cameras at the rent office, and they don't have cameras for the residents, right, for their safety. And the last time I spoke with them, they was, told me that they were looking at getting cameras, and they were saying it's not going to stop the crime. I said, yeah, but you can, if you had cameras, you would be able to tell who came by and shot bullet holes in somebody's apartment. Exactly. So, yeah. And so they were saying they were going to be looking at getting cameras. They supposedly have security out there, but I be out there a lot, and, a lot of times, and sometimes it be like dark when I leave. I don't see any security out there. And they may be coming, but at the same time, there's been a lot of vandalism, cars being broken into these properties. So there's been a lot of shooting. I know that different churches and different places are, having different things, but I just really, we did that, Mr. Dumas, a while back. I just think people, I just feel that we got to meet people where they are. the people that's doing the shooting is not gonna come into church.
Right.
They're gonna we're gonna have to come away from behind the walls and walk the streets. We did that, and we got a lot of feedback. But at the same time, when you're dealing with people in the streets, you gotta you gotta know who. You got to have somebody who's used to the streets with you when you're walking, because they know the in and outs, and they know a lot about what's going on in the street. So you'll know how to reach the right people. Because I just believe that if you have somebody that's used to the streets, and you're out in the community, and in order for you to reach them, you got to have somebody who's familiar with those people that can maybe sit down and talk at the table. Because I'm just being honest with you, Mr. Dumas, and people that are listening. We got to start thinking, with these laws and things that are being passed, with these gun laws. Just think about it. You got these laws, y'all, we killing each other.
Right.
And so,
and when you have access, you've got a bad guy who can have access to a weapon, and he's walking around. He doesn't even look suspicious anymore because everybody has a gun. So there's no
right
factor. You don't have the suspicion factor.
I'm saying now when I go into places, I'm making sure that I'm paying more attention to my surroundings now, because of you just don't know people. People are doing the mass shootings not because somebody is someone has did something to them. They don't even know these people. A lot of it is some of this stuff is dealing with hate.
Right.
And so you just don't know, whether or not you're safe, even in the grocery store. So, but I just know that Macon, we got a lot of issues with the shooting, and a lot of it is our young people. And, they just got to have the last, it's all in retaliation. When one gets shot, then they won't let it alone. They got to retaliate. And, you just got people just shooting people, just walking up to them, just shoot like it's nothing.
Exactly. It seems that, people just don't value life. When they can
I just believe that in order for you have to value your own life before you can value somebody else's life. It just seems like people don't have fear anymore. They don't have fear. They don't fear anything. And so
right.
I just think that we can talk about it, but we got to be able to reach these folks, these young people in the streets. It's no one solution. Pastor Watson and Miss Butler, Pastor Butler, they've been on this journey also a long time, with this violence, and they're right there in the area. They were having different things that were out there, where they were having things in the community to draw people to come be a part, where you can make a change. But people, they're not looking for that right now, unless something I just really think we need to put our resources together. They're going to have to get somebody here that people are going to listen to, um, um, that somebody that they respect and that they look up to. I just wish they could see what I see. I can't really say it, but it's we need to be concentrating on voting. We need to be concentrating on voting. We need to be concentrating on these gun laws, because we are killing each other, and it's a bigger picture. We're dealing with something much more bigger. People, they one step ahead of us, because we only thing we thinking about is shooting right now. And,
right.
And these people planning, they looking at their race of people. Um, all these changes being made, where you controlling life, whether somebody can, whether or not, you controlling the woman's body, whether they can have a child or not. That's all about control and making sure that people are born. So we're talking about a race of people. We're looking at like the I never felt that the insurrection at the White House had anything to do with the election. Really, it's about people losing their power. And so we're shooting and killing each other, and so they just they concentrate on something else. We don't even see the big picture because we're not taking our time to do that. And we need our young people, and they don't I don't know. It's just crazy.
And a lot of it is a series of distractions, just a series of distractions from as you mentioned, the big picture of some of the other major changes, underlining changes that are taking place. And it's going to just kind of catch us by surprise.
It is because we're not looking at the big picture. We don't see what's going on.
Exactly. And so that's by design. And I even believe many of these mass shootings are by design. There's a push for a lot of this, and
because it's not making sense. It's not making. I know the Bible is fulfilling. I believe, but it's not making sense for people to just all of a sudden out of nowhere you start back having these mass shootings. It's
right.
Not making sense for people to just be shooting and killing folks for no reason.
Right.
And so just like the elections, the runoffs in June, history shows that just I was having a conversation earlier with one of the candidates, and I just, like I was saying, I really don't think it had anything to do with that person. It's the fact that history shows that we don't get out and vote in runoffs. And
right.
So they created this by design to have the runoff in June because they've already know that people of color is not going to get back out and vote in a runoff. And so what they predicted has been true. Is history has repeated itself over and over again. And so we don't get out and vote. So they basically has basically said what we're not going to do, and we always proven right.
Right. And so it's an easy way to play into the hand. You don't have to have those numbers because they know that people aren't going to show anyway. And
right.
The turnout was very low. And so
about 9%. It's unreal the number of people that are here in Macon alone and did not in that percentage of voting. But then soon as something happens, then they want people to just stop doing what they're doing and take care of whatever's going on. But you don't want to vote. Just about everything that's going on with you economically, health, criminally, everything has to do with voting. We're putting people in office that deals with all of this, and we won't vote.
Wow. We run out of time, but we really thank you for joining us today, and hopefully something can happen in our community as it relates to violence. So until next time, we'll see you. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnett Westbrook and Mr. Dumas. Come join us next Monday at 4 o'clock p.m. on 980 WDDO.